It is the mid-season point in the NFL, so just wanted to have a little discussion here with Preston of KMA Sports. A little shout out there, Preston. Before we get like super deep into it, just very quick thoughts. You're a Steelers fan. How do you think the Steelers are doing so far? What are some of the things you like, some you don't like? What are your thoughts?
Okay. I'll try to keep it brief, I guess. There's a lot of thoughts always with this team, is what I'd say. But they
That's fair.
they love to pull you in and out, is what I'd say. So the joke was every Steelers fan was done and pissed after the Packers game Sunday Night Football week before, and then we turn right around and we beat the top seeded team, and the defense wakes up and forces like six turnovers. So really, I don't know what the Steelers are. None of us do. I think it's fair to say when they're on, and they're capable of playing with and beating a lot of teams. They've beaten the Patriots and the Colts this year, which maybe people didn't think they'd be quality wins before the season started, but it's pretty clear that they are now, as we've seen
Yeah.
both of those teams perform this year. The offense has been the most pleasant surprise. That it's far better than last year. It's amazing what a capable quarterback can do. I mean, it's clear we've seen with their new teams that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are just not NFL starters. So it's another miracle that the Steelers managed to have a winning record last year with those two guys at quarterback. It's just I don't think any of us thought the defense would be the thing that falls off when we finally get the offense going again. But if it's last week or even if it's like 80% of last week, they should be on track to be fine again. But I think any Steelers fan will tell you it doesn't really matter until we win a playoff game. Like we can, it's
Right.
9-8 again. It don't matter until we actually get something done in the playoffs because we've been in this situation for like 5 years now. That's what I got.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of what I've heard from some Steeler fans. Like they're a very bipolar team with the way they operate.
This year, especially, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth about, Pittsburgh and also the my couple of teams later
Yeah.
on. But just to give quick thoughts on my side, I've been pretty lucky this year because of in my family we're Colts because local and also family used to live here, like grandparents, like a long time ago. So we've always liked the Colts, and the Packers. I'm not sure where that one came from. I think my dad might have just liked the Packers when Favre was around because he grew up in Cincinnati, and the Bengals were not doing too hot for a long time. So if they're going to be
Can't blame
completely
you for that.
terrible, you got to have a pivot point somewhere. I'm just guessing. I need to ask him about that actually. Um, but um, but I obviously have gotten pretty lucky. I did not expect the Colts to be one of the top
No.
teams. That I think that might be the biggest surprise in the league this year, and I think you might agree with me on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And I had New England second in the East, but that was only because the Dolphins and Jets are so garbage, and I assume they would be, but they've
yeah,
probably exceeded expectations as well, to be fair to them. But
yeah, they're right up there too. But like, I don't think
not the same
anybody,
level.
yeah,
Daniel
not
Jones.
yeah, because like with Drake May, you can make the argument like, maybe not that they'd take the leap now, but like, they were going to be ascending if he just developed. I don't think anybody, including myself, would have thought Daniel Jones is going to go and have up until this past week, a very, very good season. I think that was more so about the Steelers defense waking up and like being desperate to get a win this week than
Hopefully,
anything.
yeah.
I don't think he's going to turn back into a pumpkin after, the one game because the 7-1 start, it's like, you know, I don't think my eyes lied because he didn't play bad in any of those games. His worst game was against the Rams, and arguably they still should have won that one. So this was like the
And to
first
be
game all
fair to
year.
him, I don't think it's his game to throw 50 times. Like I just think that was
No way. No.
the reality of that game was once they were behind and JT wasn't getting yards and I mean, granted, they probably abandoned the run a little early, but
Yeah.
regardless, the Steelers defense has, even against the Packers, they held Josh Jacobs under 52. So the run defense has been there. And so I just don't think it's this game to force him to throw the ball 50 times, I'd say.
Yeah, that was my takeaway from that game was, I get what Shane Steichen's doing. And this is a Shane Steichen thing, and I like Shane Steichen overall, but if there's one thing that I'm like a little bit iffy on him, it's just the fact that he is a little too pass happy in the first half in particular.
Gotcha.
Like, and it kind of goes back to Shane Steichen's thing, like, we're gonna pass to score and we're gonna run to win, which, hey, credit to him. It's not just a cliche. He sticks by that.
Worked,
Um,
yeah.
but sometimes we just don't run the ball as much as I would like early in the game,
Yeah.
especially with JT. But by the second half, usually, especially in the games where they have a huge lead or they can, have a 10-point lead or something like that, like
Yeah.
you can just run the ball and JT's going to open it up. Um, but I would like to see a little more balance, especially in a game like that that does get out of hand and you're kind of forced to throw at the end. But you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Only second loss of the year. I'm not going to like get on him for that too much. Overall, it's been a fun season, very unexpected. And then on the other side with Green Bay, they're just so confusing. Like I don't even know because we talked a little bit about it um,
Yeah.
over text last week after the Green Bay Pittsburgh game, and it was like, you know, if the offense just looks like that, like then they're gonna win a bunch of games, and then they just completely lay an egg against Carolina the next week and lose, and
Yeah.
like so I think part of it, and also losing Tucker Craft too, is just absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it's
Which
not great.
yeah, hopefully, I mean, I'm just hopeful maybe Luke Musgrave can take a step up, but
Drafted
he
early.
was supposed to be yeah, he was supposed to be the guy, and then Kraft kind of supplanted him. So hopefully he can show some of those flashes he did back in the draft in his first year. But like, I don't know, that's a tough one. They got Philly this week. I fully expect that to be like an incredibly close game because this is how they just roll this year. They completely bend over and just don't even try against the bad teams, and then they get a good team like Pittsburgh or Detroit early in the year, and they just completely dismantle them, or you know have a close first half and then just take over in the second. So I don't know what the Packers are right now, but it is what it is. I still think the defense is really good. It's mostly just the offense, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, what they are is first place in their division, so
somehow.
tough to be mad at that.
Yeah, I'm definitely chill with them being in first place, but like I don't know how in the world. I mean, I guess when your losses are to Cleveland, and granted, Carolina's not horrible this year; they're above 500, but like that's a team you should beat when you're a two-touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
Like when those are your losses, and you also tied Dallas, who's not doing too hot right now. It's I don't know, but the wins are great. So like just if they get in, they're gonna have a shot against anyone because they play up to competition and they play down to
Yeah.
competition, and it's frustrating, but it is what it is. Hopefully they just get it figured out and they don't have to worry about games like that anymore.
All
But
right.
yeah. Thought we'd talk a little bit about some of these trade deadline moves here because it's very relevant, obviously. Also
Yeah.
just being right in the middle of the season. First of all, did they move it like back a little bit this year? Because it feels
Might have
like
been it might have been pushed a week. I don't know for sure, but and I'm not sure when it started either, but it's possible it used to be a week earlier. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
because it feels like it's a little bit later than usual, which I think is a good thing because you have
It's always a
teams.
weekday, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like teams like the Jets who like they have that extra week to be like, all right, yep, we're gonna just give up on this thing. Like there's a big difference between
Like the
you
Dolphins
know,
should.
yeah, like the Dolphins should have. I don't know why they didn't, besides just Jalen Phillips, but whatever.
I guess it's because they
But
don't have a GM, so they're just
I
sitting there
guess
like, oh no, we
Dolphins, you could have
didn't.
put me in charge. I would have gotten some great deals for Jalen Waddle. I could have gotten a big
No.
package for Bradley Chubb. Probably not, but
That's what I
um,
don't know. The Jets, I think, deserve credit because they actually got, I think, pretty respectable value back for the people that. Granted, the people they moved were former All Pro, so it's not like
yeah,
they were scrubs. But if you put Williams and Sauce together, you're talking three firsts in a second and a young receiver who, I mean, obviously he cost you guys the Rams game, but maybe there's something there with the new team. I don't know. Either way, I think
yeah.
it was pretty good value for the Jets, all things considered. They have three first round picks in 2027.
Yeah. And that's
It's
what,
pretty good.
I've been watching some of the shows. I know like on Rich Eisen's show, said he's been told like, 2026 kind of an iffier draft. 2027 is the one where it's going to be completely loaded, it looks like, with all the
Yeah.
young talent that's going to be coming out that year. So I think that's why I can't remember if I heard this or if it's just somebody guessing why the Jets took a second next year and a first in 2 years
Yeah,
for Quinn Williams instead of taking, a first and then a second after that.
yeah.
Um, so that you could load up on that draft. I'm not even sure they'll draft a QB unless they have like literally number one overall
I
this
said
year.
they might wait. It's always interesting when you have to debate between drafting a quarterback to put him in a team that you know will fail him or risking waiting a year and drafting players to improve the team for the quarterback that comes in the year after.
Yeah, like
Or
how
what they
I
have to
would do it. How I would do it is I would build the team first unless there's a QB that just blows you away that you're
Yeah,
like I can't miss out on this guy and he's like there for you. But like
yeah,
definitely don't give up the farm like Carolina did a couple years ago
yeah.
for
That's
for Bryce
interesting.
Young. Even though I like Bryce Young, but like that their team was so bad the next year after that, and like I don't know. I feel like building the team and then getting the quarterback is probably the best way to do it. But like you said, it's like, what if you don't get like you're like 13th or something the next year because you built a decent team, but you don't have the quarterback still. So
Maybe it's a bit safer when you have three of them. You can move your way up
yeah,
in
definitely.
2027 if need be. But honestly, it's the Jets, so I don't
Yeah,
think they'll be so much better even if they skip a year on quarterback.
yeah,
That's I'd feel bad for whoever gets drafted at quarterback by the Jets, man. It's so far it's a cursed position to be in.
yeah.
So
Fernando Mendoza, I'm so sorry.
yeah, man, don't worry, you'll become a good quarterback like 6 years later on a new team. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah, when you get your second shot with, I don't know, the Atlanta
Yeah,
Falcons or something, congratulations. It's going to be awesome for you. But
happened with Gino and Sam, and it's crazy.
yeah,
And then I guess let's if you want to just kind of you want to go through all of them. There wasn't that many on the actual day.
yeah,
If you want to, and so do you want to probably start with the one that impacts your team? So I just
right.
because I don't know the Colts fans' perspective on this. The internet's perspective is it was a steep price to pay. But I mean, when you're 7-1, maybe you're just aggressive anyways. You're not too worried about the picks. Maybe you think the team's in a position where they don't have to worry about that stuff. I guess how do you weigh between losing two first rounders and gaining a corner like Sauce Gardner?
Yeah, so overall, I'm like 90%, like more like 95% happy with this move. Like, first of all, the
All right.
shock factor, because there was pretty much no indication that this was going to happen. And
Okay.
then you get the notification. I was walking into the Ball State Library to do an
Okay.
assignment. I walked right back out and called my dad and told him about it, and we were freaking out on the phone. Um, and I'm the one who broke it to the family football chat, and
Right.
everybody was freaking out on there. Um, so like obviously when you see it, it's like oh my god, and then you see it's two first, and it's like yeah, like you'd love to not have to give that up. Like
Yeah.
in a perfect world, I assume what happened was Ballard. I heard the Colts initiated talks, but I can't imagine they were the only team that wanted,
Yeah.
Sauce. So my guess is Ballard maybe, not like overpaid, but like maybe gave a little more than he would have otherwise to make sure we secured
Yeah.
getting Sauce because, you know, my full thought on it is that like Sauce is a phenomenal player. So
Mhm.
you get a guy like that to pair with Charvarius Ward and to pair with Kenny Moore and Jalen Jones, I guess it's just a backup now, which that's a pretty nice backup to have. He's a good player. Um, and now you're like took a team like a team weakness relative to this year because of injuries and also just because depth hasn't been great and you
Yeah.
make it into honestly probably the strength of the defense now. Like the defensive line has always been good. Linebacker's a little thin. Safety's been good, pretty good this year with Bynum and Nick Cross, but now you're getting, the ability to have a lockdown corner on one side. You have Travarius Ward, who's a very good corner on the other. Like I would
Yeah.
make the move, even though it's a lot. In a perfect world, maybe you can make it a 2 and a 1 or something instead.
Yeah.
I like the move overall because it's like the one this year, unless the Colts just absolutely collapse down the stretch and like either miss the playoffs or just fall short in a wild card game.
It's gonna be
Like
a late
which,
team regardless, but
yeah,
yeah.
it'll be a late pick, so I'm not worried about that one. The other one, you'd like to have that just in case something goes haywire. But
Yeah.
overall, I like the move. Um, And I mean, I was just shocked that Chris Ballard would even do something like that. I was shocked when Chris Ballard signed free agents this offseason. Like, making a
More
massive
aggressive.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this guy never makes huge trades like
Yeah.
this. So yeah, I love it. And I would like to give my apology to Chris Ballard, because I was calling for him to be fired after last year. And I think it was
Yeah.
understandable at the
I get
time
it.
because the team was just so like
We
nowhere.
went
And
like 7 years without a quarterback, so yeah, I get it. I
yeah,
guess.
years without a QB, and we draft a young one. He, unfortunately hasn't worked out, which obviously now it's like whatever. We have a guy who apparently
Yeah.
is just good now. but
Hopefully, yeah.
um yeah, I like the aggressiveness, and especially if the Colts do go on and win a Super Bowl the next few years. I mean, honestly, who cares? Like if you win a championship or even like put yourself in a position to be competitive for the next like 5 years or something,
Yeah.
like I,
Now
I think it's worth it.
with AD Mitchell, do you think was that do you feel like that was just like a throw in? Was that instead of a second or a third round pick? Like would you have moved on from him that fast? Was that one game enough damage to move off your he was a second round receiver, wasn't
Yeah, he was a second round pick. So here's the thing with AD. Like I was excited when we got him in the draft in 24, and then
he?
he just didn't really do much as a rookie, which is whatever. Not a lot of players really did much on the Colts offense last year. With the AR Flacco pairing just did not work out.
Good
Um,
stuff.
yeah, but that he just has never been a guy who's ever made a ton of plays. Which look, I'm
Yeah.
just willing to chalk it up to environment at some point, but also at another point, it's like I don't know. I think it's fine to move on from him. Like I saw a meme where it was like, I wonder if the Colts up from a 2 to a 1 and an extra one so they could take AD in the trade also. But, you know,
Just
the fan base not a big fan of his. I'm not a huge fan of his, but if he
yeah.
goes to the Jets and he plays well, good for him. I don't think he deserves to just totally have his career destroyed over
Yeah,
that one game. That game was extremely frustrating, don't get me wrong, especially because like
I'm sure.
a penalty and a fumble at the goal line costs the Colts from, up till now being 8-0. Obviously, we'll probably lose to
Yeah.
Pittsburgh either way, but that was very frustrating. But I don't mind getting rid of him. I would like if I don't even know who's really available on the free agent market. Just maybe grab a couple depth pieces for one, like for the practice squad or something, because
Yeah.
I think our receivers are good, the top three, but then after that, it's like, we have Doolin, who's a pretty good role player, but and
Mhm.
then after that, you're just kind of like, kind of thin at receivers. So just you're hoping that nobody gets hurt there, but I don't mind it overall.
Yeah. I know at one point, like before the season, people were speculating on Pierce's name being on the block simply because he has to get paid. And so that's going to be, I guess, something to watch next offseason if the Colts, how much they think he's worth and how much the open market thinks he's worth. And I guess the only other thing I have with the Jets is, are you surprised they decided to only sell defensively? Because I think that part did, it was a little weird to me. It's like, okay, you're willing to move on from Sauce and Quinn Williams, but you refuse to trade Brees Hall or Garrett Wilson. And I thought that was an interesting choice. I feel like if you're going fire sale, go full fire sale. And we know for a fact they had offers for some of those guys. Granted, the Brees Hall one, I think it was only like a fourth or something from Kansas City. So I get maybe if you couldn't get more than that, you just keep them. But I have a feeling guys like that on that team are not going to be happy they're still there. And
Yeah.
so I guess it'll be an interesting thing to watch for the future.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised about Garrett Wilson staying. I think that he's a very, very valuable player,
That's
especially
the
if you
next
are,
QB.
yeah, especially, yeah, exactly. If you're going to have another QB, like you're going to want to have a weapon like that for him to work with, even though you do feel bad for Garrett Wilson that his career is getting wasted. But if you're just looking from a team building perspective, getting rid of him really doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Brees Hall is interesting, and it makes me think they're going to extend him after the season now, which, you
Yeah.
know, if like I get why they didn't trade him, and I also would get why they would have, if that makes sense. Like if they would have, all right, it's a running back. You could, he's a great running back, but you can probably get another good one in the draft, like second round, something like that.
Yep.
But keeping him, it's like, for the QB next year, assuming they get a QB next year, which we talked about it, maybe not guaranteed, but
Mhm.
if they went and did that, you have a good running back, you have a good receiver, you have pretty good tackles. Like they're building something on offense. There's no doubt about that. But you know,
So I guess
I
they viewed like we can sacrifice the defense that's already bad because it doesn't hurt our future quarterback as much as what they
yeah, honestly, like this future quarterback's gonna have to be like Joe Burrow slash Flacco in the Cincinnati
the
Bengals every
Bengals
week.
again. Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like it because, like, if you look at the Titans, for example, with Cam Ward, they got nothing
Yeah.
going down there. They don't even have good linemen. They don't have like Tony Pollard's all right, Calvin Ridley's all right, but those are like older players. You have good young stars that you can keep. Like I get it. I was surprised they got rid of both Williams and Sauce. I thought it would be only one of
Yeah.
them, but if you're going all in on just building a brand new thing, I get why you got rid of both. But
Yeah.
yeah, at first I was surprised, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, it makes sense why you keep the offensive guys for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I normally take that philosophy with running back too, where well, clearly my team does as well because we're rocking with Jalen Warren. I can't even say his name right. Jalen Warren, sorry, and Kenneth Gainwell, and then a rookie who barely plays. And then both your teams have actually taken the other route, which is pay running backs.
Yeah.
I think it's
First,
worked out for the most part, but I've just for a long time have held that belief that running back is one of the last positions you pay because history has shown that you can constantly cycle in replacements with second or third round picks like every 4 years, and it works pretty well. But this year and last year, it switched a bit where teams actually were seeking out top running backs in free agency. Basically, I think Derrick Henry started the boom again, and then
yeah.
it's worked for a lot of these teams. Like the Pack, what's worked for the Packers, it's really worked for the Colts and keeping them. And then, so I don't know if that's going to change again with the way that the type of money getting thrown around everywhere, but it's an interesting trend, I guess. We'll see if he ends up anywhere. I mean, they just have two running backs too. They have that's gonna drive me crazy. They have the other kid, was Braylon Allen, the Wisconsin kid.
Yeah, Braylon Allen, I
Yeah.
believe.
So to me, that made him a bit more expendable. But if you want to keep him, you keep him, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Like,
yes, good.
yeah. I was just gonna say real quick, first of all, shout out to Jalen Warren, Oklahoma State.
Mhm.
Go Pokes. Yes, sir. Not our year this year, but we'll be back. But um yeah, I mean, I used to be more like, don't really pay running backs, but obviously if something, like what has happened the last couple of years happens, I was willing to be like, whatever about it. And JT's been phenomenal since he signed the extension, and so has Jacobs. So since Green Bay got him, which I was shocked by at the time, I was like, because that
Yeah.
they got rid of Aaron Jones, which
Yep.
ultimately it's worked out because Aaron Jones had the same injury problems he had in Green Bay, as good of a player as he is.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just, I can see like both ways of teams doing it. Like I think, didn't Warren get a contract extension of some kind at least?
Yeah. Yeah. For I think it's a 2 year extension or 3 year extension. It's a reasonable rate to be fair to him, but it's yeah. I think it's like you said. I think it just depends on how special you think the running back is.
Yeah,
It's
like
is that like if they think that he's going to make a big difference for the Jets in the future, you keep him and pay him. I guess it's also true for them if they are thinking long term, they'll be in the window where they can afford to pay other people because I'm sure they believe they will draft a rookie quarterback that hits, which means they will not have to pay him. They'll have a 5 year window where they can pay other people because they're not paying their quarterback $50 million a year. So
yeah, and they get, Sauce Gardner Jr. and they get Quentin Williams Jr. in the draft with those
yeah.
picks. That's my only concern for them. Like I 100% understand them doing that. And I think, if I were in that position, I probably would have done it too, just to get as much as you can now. Um,
Yeah, I'm not mad at
oh,
the Jets at all. I don't think Jets fans are mad either. They're happy
yeah,
with the holiday.
yeah.
So I
My
guess we
only,
want to switch to uh I guess if we just keep with the Jets but flip to the other side, the Cowboys added Quinnen Williams and they traded for Logan Wilson from the Bengals. Two pieces that I mean objectively they are upgrades to that defense.
by
I
default.
don't I don't think that like solves the defense overnight. Just because I mean, it's basically Micah Parsons out, and it's Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams in on the D line. Quinnen's a good player for sure, and that
Oh
will
yeah, big
help. But
time.
there's too many other holes, and I guess the verdict's kind of out on Logan Wilson. Like I think he's been a good linebacker before, and he's like he feels like one of those tackle machine ones who doesn't do much else. But he was not starting for
Yeah.
the Bengals defense. Which,
The
if you can't start for that defense, I mean, to be fair to him, maybe there's some behind the scenes stuff we don't know, but like getting passed over on that depth chart, you have to be at least in a rough patch, if not bad at football. Because
yeah.
so I'm not sure how much he'll help them.
Yeah.
Although it was
So
a seventh rounder, so I don't think you'd be mad at that as a Cowboys fan.
yeah, like I don't think that trade's going to do much. First of all, congratulations to Logan Wilson going from the 32nd defense to 31st.
Yep.
Really a pretty terrific move up for him. But I mean, like you said, seventh round pick, you might as well just try it out. I don't think you're missing that much. Um, but the with Quinn and Williams, I mean, look, I went to a Green Bay game back in 2022. It was Jets versus Packers. That was Aaron's
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Quentin Williams, I saw him completely dominate that game in front of me. It was really sad, and I was super sick that day. Um, but I was like, I'm gonna go to the game anyway, and then they got dominated. But no, like Quentin Williams, I've literally seen it in person. Like he can completely take
Yeah.
over a game. It's just like it just feels like Jerry Jones, and this is not an original take. I'm not going to pretend it is, but I think it's a reasonable take that Jerry Jones got the picks from the Micah Parsons deal
Yep.
and realized, oh, everybody's going to be upset about this. We need to make a move now with these
Yeah.
picks to make up for it, which honestly it defeats the purpose, especially when they're using their own picks, which you never know what's going to happen in the NFL, are likely to be worse than the picks they got, or likely to be better than the picks they got from Green Bay. Like
Yeah.
you would like this year in particular. I know they only gave up a second for this year. It's a first for 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Um, but you know the the Cowboys are probably not going to make the playoffs this year, as is right now. They're 2 games under 500, and the NFC is completely loaded. The 7 seed is what I think 5-3. That's Detroit right now, and Detroit's not going to fall off a cliff. I don't think the Niners. I don't think are going to completely fall off unless they just keep getting injured. Same
Well, they've
with
been winning with no one. It's
right, like
CMC in a practice squad, and they're winning other games.
Christian
So
McCaffrey and the power of friendship.
yeah.
Like they, I, I have they have gained a ton of respect for me this year. Probably to it, even though I'm not like I'm a Packers, so I hate them. But that's besides the point. I don't want to get into that. But basically my point is, these teams are not going to fall off a cliff, and Dallas, I don't think is going to surge at this point with Philly and Kansas City still on the schedule as well. I don't know the rest of their games. I think they also have the Chargers, who they'll probably be an underdog to.
Yeah.
But like the just even like best case scenario, I think for them is like maybe they go on a little run here and they get to like 8-1, but they're not making the playoffs this year with that record. And so you're basically looking at this year as a wash, and you're just hoping that the Quinn Williams move and Kenny Clark, who is I think had a decent year. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend I know super deep in the Cowboy you know stats or anything, but he's had a solid enough year. He had a bad year last year in Green Bay, so I'm happy that he's doing better for his sake.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just I don't know. I like the idea of getting Quinn Williams. I just don't know if Dallas right now is the
Yeah.
team that's going to benefit like him the most. But I'm sure he's happy to get out of the Jets because everybody's happy to get out of the Jets. So
I'd
yeah,
say the main thing is that they didn't give up the first this year. That's pretty important because clearly, I mean, like you said, this is not going to be some late pick this year. It's going to be probably in the teens at best. And then I guess, I mean, it's a gamble, but you're showing faith, and basically just the Cowboys have decided that they will not be as bad next year as they are this year, and so that's the gamble they're taking. That's the price you pay. Uh, I mean, if you think of it, if you just go super basic, like could you draft someone as good as Quinnen Williams? Maybe, probably not. Probably
yeah,
not where they're picking. Quinnen Williams was like a top. I don't at least top 10 pick. I'm not sure. He might have been even sooner than that. I forget his draft class, but he's a very talented player. I guess I want to be fair to Sauce and Quinnen because I've seen some people kind of comment about how they've played this year or last year, and I'm like, yes, but I think there's also just a reality that sets in when you're on a team like the Jets, and so
Yeah,
I don't think the defense's faults rest on them, and I think having new spots will help them greatly. I also think the Cowboys should probably just get a new defensive coordinator next year too, and hopefully that helps.
that
On paper, the defense shouldn't be as bad as it is. So I'm not quite sure what else will change it, but I think it's two clear upgrades. One's a big upgrade. And so I guess we'll see. I think realistically, they probably won't be as bad next year, but I don't know. You really never know because the
yeah.
Commanders weren't supposed to be this bad this year too. So it's a gamble. They're gambling. It's what Jerry Jones does. So
Yeah, but honestly, overall though, I don't mind it too much for them. But it's just, I do feel ever so slightly bad for Quinn Williams, even though I'm sure he's happy today, just be out of the Jets,
yeah,
like I said. But that's my thoughts on that overall. And what could have
I have the
prevented?
list pulled up if you want to go through all the trades or if you want to focus on any that you have in mind.
Yeah, 1 second on that. Because there are a couple others I want to mention real quick. I just want to make one more point about the Cowboys. You know what could have avoided all of this about having to go get another star on defense? You could have paid a guy named Micah Parsons, and you could have made it so I don't have both his Dallas and Green Bay jerseys over my closet, and the
Jeez.
fat and getting a Cowboy one for virtually nothing because it has no relevance anymore. You could have just done that, but
Yeah.
maybe I'm just wrong about that. I don't know, but that's just my opinion.
That'll be an interesting spot next year because they have to decide if they're going to take the Bengals route and pay two receivers or not because George Pickens is on the last year of his deal. So
Right.
another interesting question for that team. They could really be Cincy if they double up.
Yeah. God, I just God bless Jerry Jones. I not literally, but like I know Eagles fans are like, I hope he lives forever. So that's
Yeah.
there you go.
Speaking of the Eagles, they've made really only one move was deadline day, but they've kind of made small moves throughout the year. And so the main ones to talk about will be Jair Alexander and crap, Jalen Phillips. So those are the two, I guess you'd say notable. They had a Tank Bigsby a while back. To be honest, I'm not sure if he's even playing. I mean, Saquon's ahead of him, so you're not really gonna
Yeah.
steal
Well,
carries from Saquon. But so Jair and Jalen Phillips, do you have any thoughts on those?
so I have very short thoughts on Jalen Phillips. Like I think that's a good move for them because they do have a defensive end issue. Like
Yeah.
especially trying to replace Josh Sweat, who went to Arizona. I think that's a good move, even for a
Mhm.
third. Maybe, some were saying a little rich. I think he's a good player, so it's not like he really
When he's
matters that
healthy.
much. Yeah, and plus, I've heard Philly has another third round pick anyway, so they
There you
still have
go.
stuff to work with. So yeah, of course they do. By the way,
Yeah.
but I think that's a fine move as long as he's healthy. He'll make an impact. With Jair, I don't know. I
Well, and
have
sorry, I forgot this one's not on the list, but you might have mentioned it. But Michael Carter was a slot corner from the Jets who also went to Philly. So
I just don't know anything about him to be
okay,
honest.
he's
But
good. He's been good previously, like very good for a slot guy. Just also health issues, just like the other two.
right.
But when he's on, he's good. He wanted to move to even wiped away like 5 million in guarantees just so he could go to Philly, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's good for him, I guess. You go from the Jets to
Yeah,
the defending Super Bowl champs, so I guess, money's money. You can get that some other time. But
yeah.
with Jair in particular, look, I have a Jair Alexander jersey in my closet that I got last year from a guy. It was like very good condition. It was like $50. And I was like, yeah, this is a steal. And then he played, I think, two more games in a Green Bay uniform and then got released.
That guy
Um,
knew.
yeah, like so the thing with him is that like in the off season I wanted to keep him and then you know everything he gets released, but then we get Micah. So it was like, okay, we could probably use the money that we would have used on him to help the
Yeah.
Micah Parsons contract. So I didn't really care anymore after that. And then he goes to Baltimore to play with Lamar, and because I was they were college teammates,
Yep.
and he literally gets absolutely destroyed on live TV in national TV week one by what was it, Josh Palmer, like twice by the Bills.
Not an elite receiver core, I know that. So it could have been
No,
any.
like he got torn apart by like Keon Coleman and Palmer. And I was like, okay. Because in 23 he didn't play much, but or 24 rather. Well, both 23 and 24, but in 24, the last year in Green Bay, when he
Yeah.
played, he was still good, except for he did get torched by AJ Brown in week one in Brazil, but everybody was slipping on that field. So I don't know how much you can really read into that. But overall, he was playing good, then he gets hurt and now it just looks like the injuries have caught up to him. He was literally a healthy scratch for several games
Yeah.
in Baltimore. So honestly, that move, if they can
He
get
dodged the
something out
bullet.
of him, like that would be like commendable to them. And you know, for his personal sake, I don't like the Eagles, but like for his personal sake, I hope he can find a way to improve a little bit. But
Yeah.
that move doesn't necessarily scare me. Now, watch, I will say that, and he will get a pick on Monday night, and I'm gonna lose it. But I don't know. I think that's more of a flyer move by Philly,
Yeah.
just see if you can get something out of him.
That's what was curious to me too. I don't watch Philly super closely, so I wasn't sure if there's like a bunch of injuries going on or what their reasoning was for trading or signing two different corners. I'm like, so I remember they're pretty darn good starting corners, man. They were in the Super Bowl together. They're
Yeah,
both young, they're both very good. So I guess this is just depth. I have, like you said, I know a lot of people don't like them, and they can certainly be annoying more their fan base than the team itself. But Howie Roseman, I think that's his name, is one of the best GMs out there, and I will
oh yeah,
always give him credit for being. They were, I mean, I think objectively speaking, they were by far the most aggressive of the Super Bowl contenders out there. Well, okay, so it's not fair to the Colts this year.
yeah,
So
like the
the
traditional
Colts made the
ones.
most aggressive by far. But if you're talking about even like coming into the preseason, the Chiefs were quiet. The Bills were quiet. I don't think you'd count Pittsburgh, but they're first in the division. If you want to count them, they were quiet. A lot of
Yeah,
teams you thought maybe needed to upgrade were quiet, and the Eagles, they tinker relentlessly. They have one of the
yeah,
best rosters
like
in football, but that does not stop him from improving his roster every chance he gets. Maybe he's improved, like we said, backup corner, backup slot corner, backup running back, and then an edge rusher who worked with DC previously, which is part of why he's there. I think that's another thing to mention is he already knows that defense, even coming in the middle of the season, which should help him a lot. So I just give them a lot of credit. Smart moves. Didn't cost like a third and some
yeah,
other late picks. Like it's very good business by them, and I don't think it's a surprise they are as good as they are every year, and it's because they have one of the best GMs in the game.
yeah. Like I mean, he is easily the best GM in the NFL right now. Like he has put together two Super Bowl winning teams in basically different eras. I know 8 years is not that long, but two different, like the NFL is completely different. He puts together two of those different kinds of teams. And like, it's just funny to me that teams are still willing to like make deals with him. It's like every time you do, it backfires on you. Honestly, ever since the AJ Brown trade, I was like, how are teams still making deals with this guy? But no, he's great. Like I have no issue with their organization, and I like a good amount of their players. It's literally just like the fan base like can sometimes
Yeah,
not all the fans to be clear, but you know the ones
yeah, for
but
sure.
it is what it is. Those exist in every fan base, and also just the fact that they are the champs. You want to see somebody else win every year, unless it's your team. But you know, that's that's just how it goes. But yeah, he's a great GM, and he's ultimately alongside the good players the reason why they are competitive for Super Bowl almost every year.
Yeah, they're very good, and those like we said, they're minor trades, but they will help the team a lot. I kind of want to get in. You want to go to the receivers that moved?
Yeah,
I think that was probably the main story of the trade deadline. And honestly, to me, I think it was a bigger story the teams who didn't trade for receivers compared to the teams that did get them, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Especially, well, my team, every Steelers fan will tell you we've needed a wide receiver too for like 4 years now. And then
yeah.
the Bills.
Real
I think a
quick,
lot of people thought the Bills would have had one.
Yeah, real quick, I was gonna say, yeah, you're a little bit out of
It
focus. Just want to make
might
sure you
take a
get
little
that.
bit. I don't know what the deal is with this one. It's a good camera normally, but they'll just
Yeah,
stop focusing for like 3 minutes at a time.
yeah,
You
it
can
is what
you
it
can talk
is.
about the receivers while I try to get it normal again.
Yeah. So I think it's a good point, like you mentioned, especially because you are a Steelers fan. I really thought the Steelers were gonna. I like if I had to pick a spot for Jacoby Myers to go, I would have thought it would be the Steelers
Yeah.
just because they, are looking for another receiver. Obviously, they already used the high pick on Metcalf, so you can make the argument like, maybe they don't want to use multiple draft picks on receivers.
Mhm.
Um, the thing I just like, it's all retrospective, of course. Like you can imagine at the time or like you can get at the time why they do it. But obviously,
Mhm.
it's just a tough look now because George Pickens is playing so well in Dallas, and
Yep.
it's like what if you just hung on to him? And I get like a lot of it is probably like locker room stuff and like he's Mister Crash Out and he brought in the
And
Crash Out
and
Queen.
the contract being up was another part. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think I guess since I'm focused again, I'll talk about I will talk about what it means for Seattle and Jacksonville. Eventually, I will get to that. Just not to piss those people off because they're the ones who actually got the receivers this
right.
deadline.
Yeah,
But just seeing that, so Jacoby went for a fourth and a sixth, and Shaheed went for a fourth and a fifth. And so to me, it's I it's stupid to me that any team would be like, no, that's too steep a price. I think if you're Pittsburgh or you're
right,
Buffalo, especially Buffalo, because holy crap, man, they've been trying to get over the hump for the past like 5 years, and that's all anyone ever talks about. You can get a receiver that could be Jacoby at the very least would be their second best, but honestly, he'd be their best receiver. And it would cost them if say you have to go higher, it'd be a fourth and a fifth. And
right.
like you're the Buffalo Bills and you're not willing to give that up. Hell, even if it's a rental, man, win something. Like
Yeah,
this is what the sport is about. You've been on the edge for like 5 years. Just do it. Like I don't
yeah.
get the lack of aggression there. Pittsburgh, I mean, they do this every year. We had the same thing last year. Like, oh, they're trading for this guy, and it never happens.
And
We're
they
the
got Preston
kings
Smith
of
last year, so
we're the kings of also talk to. That's what happens with us. Like after a trade happens, like the blank also talked to the Steelers
oh
about
my
this
God,
trade. It's
dude,
like,
that's literally the Packers like
yep.
90% of the time. Until the Micah trade, it was like, you know,
It's like we were
the you know the
there.
there were two teams that were in on, JJ Watt. It was the Arizona Cardinals where he signed and the Green Bay Packers. And it's like,
Yeah.
yep, could have had JJ Watt back 4 years ago in a
I think it
critical
was
Super Bowl year, but whatever.
you were right. It was reported that Jacoby was the top choice of the Steelers, but then that's what my point is like. If he's your top choice, you can't give up a fourth and a fifth for a guy like that.
Right. Like,
Fourth, a sixth, and a seventh, you could throw in an extra pick. Like, what
yeah.
is the? I severely disagree with their logic. We're stuck with it now. It is what it is, and two other teams get better. Jacksonville's interesting. Their GM, he's new and he's young, and he is hyper aggressive,
Yeah,
is
he
what it
does
appears from
not
everything.
care.
Because they did not, to me, obviously injuries are why it's useful now, like just this current season. But like overall, they were not a team that people thought it's like, oh, they desperately need another receiver. It's almost like a rental. Well, if they can't re-sign him, it will be a rental. So it's like, so a guy goes down hurt, and you're like, you know what? We're gonna chase this thing. We feel like Super Bowl contenders. Is like, is that really
Yeah.
what you feel like, Jacksonville? Like, you'd be lucky to get the wild card spot if we're being honest.
Yeah.
The likelihood is that there's three wild card teams in the West, which means you're playing with. Sorry, there's three playoff teams in the West, which means there's
Yeah.
one wild card spot up for grabs.
Yeah. And
And
that's
I'd have the
probably
feeling
going to
it's much
be,
more likely to go to New England than it is the Jaguars. So
yeah,
it's
right.
it's interesting. It's aggressive. It's what he does. If they pay him, so be it. Although they don't have their first round pick this year, so maybe that's part of why he's being so aggressive. So it doesn't look worse when their first round pick is lower because of
Yeah.
injuries.
Yeah. So, yeah, with that move, I think a lot more of it has to do with just survival at this point of the season because their injuries are just really stacking up at the receiver spot. Like
Yeah.
Brian Thomas, who already has not had a great year, has
Don't get me
been
started on
pretty,
him, man.
yeah, fantasy, I
Ruined my
assume.
fantasy league.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
but he's not had the year that they were expecting. Obviously, Travis Hunter's hurt now, and he'll be
Yeah,
out for a while. It's just lucky that he didn't tear his ACL, which is what they were worried about. Um,
yeah.
but especially when you have to escape Las Vegas like they did the other day, a team that the division leader in your division, the Colts, completely decimated early in this year. And
And
obviously,
most
like
people decimate, to be
yeah,
fair.
the Chiefs literally held them to like 50 yards or something. Like, but you have to escape. And like, I'm not saying, oh, how did you only win by they won, so it is what
Yeah,
it is. Like, it's not like they lost the game, but it came down to the end. And it's like, I don't think they want to be having to compete with teams like that. They want to be in the spot like where they beat Kansas City in a Monday night game early in the year. And I think if there's one game that I think is going to be really important down the stretch, possibly if Jacksonville hangs around, it's going to be that one. And it's because, Kansas City's got Denver and Indy the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying they're going to lose both. They probably will win at least one. But if they do, they're 5-6 going into the last, like, what, 6 games this season? Is that how the math works? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
the last 6 games this season. Um, and I'm pretty sure their schedule softens up from there, but they still have to play Denver and the Chargers again after that. So,
yeah,
um, if I think the Jaguars are basically going to be banking on, either Kansas City struggling or the Chargers potentially. I don't think they've played the Chargers yet. I think they do play them eventually. They're kind of banking on one of those two struggling and them being able to figure it out and
yeah.
keep rolling, or the Colts just somehow completely falling off, which I don't think is going to happen, but you can never eliminate it as a
Yeah.
possibility.
That's
So,
it's just yeah, I just think it's more on the teams that didn't make the trade than the teams that did, is what I'd say. Because I just think there was teams that were far more in need of wide receiver who weren't willing to be aggressive enough to get the two top receivers on the market.
right.
And when it's the teams who got them were ones who objectively need them less, especially for the future. Like the Jag, like you said, they'll be if they just get healthy, they'd have a better wide receiver room. The Bills health isn't the issue with the Bills receiver room. Health isn't the issue with the Steelers wide receiver room. Like there's just teams where I'm like, they're good teams. So maybe I'm wrong, but it's like it just seemed odd that they weren't willing to be aggressive. And then you give Seattle, who I should have mentioned as a contender who was aggressive. I forgot to give them their credit.
Yeah.
They certainly they look like a contender this year. They've played very legit football this through the midpoint, as we've talked about. But they got Rashid Shaheed for a fourth and a fifth. It did surprise me he costs more than Jacoby did, but he's a deep threat, and it's a team that this is just adding to a position of strength, I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I've not thought that the Seahawks offense and weapons were lacking to this point. So this just improves an already good unit for a team that's making a push in a very tough division.
Yeah. So I think it's a good move for a couple of reasons. One that I think is getting overlooked is if you look at last year, Rashid Shaheed, he was the guy who was going to catch all the bombs downfield. Obviously, he's been that this year too, but he
Yeah.
was doing that like consistently. And Clint Kubiak was the OC down there, and he's the OC up in Seattle. So
Yep.
I have to imagine they went to him and was like, "Hey, do you want to bring this guy back in?" He's like, "I'd love to bring this guy back in because we can just score 70-yard touchdowns with him, any point of the game, as long as the quarterback can hit it." And obviously, Sam Darnold's done that this year.
Mhm.
He's not like inaccurate or anything. As long as you've got a QB who can hit those throws, like
Yep.
you're scoring. So I like the move for them. You see, that is who I think the Bills should have gone for,
Yeah.
because they don't have a burner receiver. Like they have a lot of, you know, like
Smaller guys.
Shakir's good, but
Yeah.
he's not really a burner. Keon Coleman's not a burner.
Smart.
They'd be like smart to get a guy like that. And I was going to mention this earlier. The reason I think Buffalo decided not to do that is because of the Amari Cooper trade last year and how that kind of blew up in their face, and he didn't do anything.
It's
And
such
I'm
a apples to oranges though, man.
Yeah,
Like
I know
these
that's what I'm
receivers are in
saying.
their primes. Like this is so different. I get your
Yeah,
point. Yeah, it's just they'd
yeah,
be
like
wrong
I
if that's what they thought.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's what they thought. I don't agree with it. Like I would make the move because like Shaheed is still a young guy. What, he's like third or fourth year, right? He hasn't been around that long, but
Yeah, I'd say late 20s at the worst. So like,
Yeah, so he's still got plenty of time to be good, and they could honestly probably afford to pay him too, like because he's not going to command that much. So I don't know. I don't really get them not making the move, but I think it's a good move for the Seahawks because they're getting good play out of all their kind of, quote unquote, lesser known or
Others,
younger
yeah,
receivers. Like, because JSN is, I mean, you don't even need to say anything about him. He's
bro.
having an
Yeah,
unbelievable
no.
year.
This helps
It,
him even more.
yeah, like genuinely having a nasty season. Like, he's on pace for 2,000 yards right now, which of course would be the record, but,
The deep threat helps that team so much because, like you already talked about, how just having a guy there helps with that aspect. But it's also the fact that if you're gonna mess around and have a safety double JSN, you're double risking the chance you're gonna get burned over the top when you don't
right.
have
Yeah.
help for Shaheed running by you. So it's very interesting. They're good. That division is it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if we've gone division by division, but
Yeah.
the NFC feels very interesting this year. I feel like it's less open and shut than maybe some people thought.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
I don't think it's like Phillies to lose. I think that anyone could really. There's a lot of teams that could push in that conference.
yeah, that's for sure. I think the NFC this year is the most open I've seen since I've told you this before. I haven't watched football all that long. Like it really wasn't
Yeah.
until like 4 years ago I finally
Okay.
started getting into sports, which is I know sounds crazy because it's like that's like my thing. But like,
Yeah.
I just didn't really have much interest in it. And then, it was 2021. It was like a few weeks into that season I started getting into it, and that's when I
Mhm.
like it became obsessed with it. But like this is easily the most open the NFC has been. Like I can really see any of the 7 teams that are in the picture right now, like winning the Super Bowl. I can see any of
Yeah.
them, like not
Yeah.
just making it, but winning it, except maybe the 49ers, and it's only because of those injury issues, but
Yeah.
they can be in the playoffs and be a threat. Like
For
I just
sure.
don't know if they're going to win the Super Bowl this year because of no Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner, you know,
Yeah.
Purdy out for a while, even though Purdy will probably be back at some point. Not like it really matters because they're still winning with Mac
It
Jones, but
honestly, it makes that Purdy contract look more and more interesting. Because I think
yeah,
a lot of
interesting,
people
interesting is a
thought,
word
like,
you can use for it.
there's a lot of people out there, maybe myself, I don't know, it's a little casual, but it's probably true. It's like, hey, maybe you don't need to pay him $50 million when you could just run anyone out there who's decent and
Right.
be fine. I don't know.
Right. Like, I don't know.
Teachers,
Because I don't know. That's just an interesting one there. I mean, they didn't have a ton of a choice with him if they believed in him that much, but then you immediately go to Mac Jones, and it's like, wow, he's also doing pretty well. And I watched that guy completely crumble his last
yeah,
year in New England and do nothing as a backup in Jacksonville. So, like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's weird, but even though we're saying all that, I still think he's probably better than Mac Jones. I don't think that's a
No,
hot
he
take,
is for sure. It's
but
just the fact, it's more about the fact that you can win with a guy making what Mac Jones makes, but you're paying a guy
right.
51 mil instead.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
I have a feeling we both probably don't know much about this guy, but the Bears traded for Joe Tyron Shoyinka from the
Yeah.
Browns. Edge
Yeah, not
depth.
just
Basically,
nothing.
they switched a 6 round pick for a 7th round pick. So they moved down around at a defensive end. Uh, they've had 2 season-ending injuries, and one it was Deo
Oh, Dio
Odoningbo.
Dangbo. Yeah,
Yeah,
from Indy.
he said it
Yeah,
way better
former
than I did.
Colt.
Yeah, and so this is basically just the guy filling in for that. And
Yeah.
so I get it. It's not super aggressive, but I mean the Bears are kind of in that weird in between too, where it's like maybe they're decent, maybe they're horrible. I don't know. They'll probably
Yeah.
finish around 500 is what it feels like. So
Yeah. Like I saw some Bears
it
fans who
doesn't
were
hurt
like
them.
there were some Bears fans that were so upset they didn't make a move yesterday. I'm like, do you really think you're winning it all like this year? Like that's
Yeah.
it. And like I get it. You have issues on the team. You want to see them fixed. I'm sure every fan base wants to do that, unless your team's just
Yeah.
completely in the toilet and it's like just get rid of everybody. But
They want them to trade people away. Yeah.
yeah, but like the Bears go 5-3 at the deadline, and people are like, oh, Super Bowl team. Like they're not that yet. Like if Caleb Williams ends up, turning it into, I mean, he's already playing all right this year, but like if he
Yeah.
turns into Superman, maybe they'll have a shot at it, but I don't think that's going to happen mid-year. So it's, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, and
No.
I don't see why they would go and make an insane move. But like, I mean, a move like this is fine just for depth, and
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, it's a sixth for a seventh rounder, so it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, you move down one round, you get some depth, it's fine. We talked about
Yeah,
Logan Wilson. The Chargers went out and uh see, I don't know how he played for the Saints, but I know I get this move a lot, and for the price, it makes a ton of sense. But the Chargers ended up getting uh offensive lineman Trevor Penning from the Saints like right as the deadline ended. I remember that. And it cost them a 6 round pick next year. And so they had an offensive lineman when your top two tackles are done for the year, yeah, I guess it makes a lot of sense for them to find a body that can play
yeah,
that position. He was drafted relatively highly. I'm not sure. Obviously, he can't have been working out that well if the Saints were willing to move on for a future 6 round pick. But regardless, I would assume it's an upgrade over whoever they had sitting in that room. That O line is ridiculously depleted, man. So anything you can do to
yeah,
even slightly upgrade it is probably a good move.
yeah. Let's put it this way: Trevor Penning they drafted with a first round pick, and then the 2 years after or 2 years later they used another first on a tackle, and then this year they also used a first on a tackle. So not exactly lighting the real world on fire. I'm pretty sure he was
Yeah,
playing guard down there. They gave him a shot at that. I don't know how he did. I assume not great, but like you
yeah.
mentioned, like
Must not be.
The Chargers are just so depleted. It's like, anybody to even just stand in the way, like to not even block, just like
Get a pick.
like a traffic cone so Justin Herbert could
Yeah,
throw a screen or something. Like honestly, that's it. Like,
yeah.
just anything. I'm really concerned about the Chargers. Like their ability to win the Super Bowl this year, I don't think they have much of one anymore. Like, but they
Yeah.
could probably still make the
Yeah.
playoffs. But
To be
that's
fair, there's a lot of teams that would be in a similar boat if they lost their starting tackles
oh yeah,
for
no, I'm not
especially when
saying
they're
like
all pro level. Like it's such a bummer for that team, man. Like I get it.
yeah, like if they had
I
those
just
two guys or even one of them, I would think
yeah.
about them as a team that could potentially put a run together because they've got good weapons and a good defense. But it's like that O line is just such a concern now with those
They
injuries.
could have upgraded weapons too, but I get it. Maybe the thinking now is we have this line's done. There's no point in doing it at the trade deadline, but they're still like a one receiver team. And I
Right.
mean, old man Keenan Allen's done pretty well for him, but he gets hot and cold and he's injured all the time too. So it's like at some point they need to upgrade the weapons. They also added a DB and Jasir Taylor from the Jets for a conditional seventh round pick in 2028. So this
In
is a nothing
2028,
move.
the
Oh, the
20
Jets. Sorry, I got it wrong. The Jets got him from the Chargers. But yeah, it
oh
is a conditional 2028. Basically, he's just a replacement for Michael Carter, who they traded to Philly. So
conditional 2028, that thing better turn into a first under certain conditions. Like
yeah, it doesn't even say what the condition is, but it's pretty
the
funny.
condition is he makes the roster in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. 2028 draft pick is so
And
funny.
Baltimore upgraded D line, getting Draymond Jones from the Titans for a conditional fifth. This was an interesting one. I get the Titans are bad, but the Jones had 4.5 sacks the past 4 games, and the Titans thought, screw it, we'll move him for a conditional fifth round pick.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like much for a guy who's gotten that many sacks. I mean, I know
I
the
mean,
Ravens could use
yeah,
some D line depth for sure. So it's a good move for them. For a fifth though, for the Titans, that seems like a little cheap. I don't know what his contract is. I assume it has to be money
yeah,
issues, but yeah, that seems like not that much for a guy who has that, those stats the last few games.
yeah. It's it's interesting. I mean, because they traded away Odafe earlier in the year
Yeah,
for the safety Olani Gilman, who's actually played very well for them. So shout out to him, Notre Dame guy too. I thought it
nice.
was interesting. I thought they had enough safeties, but he's they've played better with him. But I mean, I don't know. it always bothers me when teams like to help my rivals with stupid things like this, but it is
That's
what it
real.
is.
That's
I
that's
swear that
like
happens every time. I'm like, oh, why are people just handing the Ravens free players, man? I'm like, every time.
yeah, it's like every time the Bears made an off-season signing, I was like, why
Yeah.
is nobody else trying to make those signings? And like,
Dude, it
for
happens
the
in the
like,
draft all the time too. I get
yeah,
worried every time. I'm like, I like this kid in college, so he's gonna end up on a team I hate. It's very
yeah.
likely.
This was a rare year where the Colts got Tyler Warren. I was like, wow, somehow a team I not only did he not go to a team I hate, he went to my favorite team. So it's like, I that was one of the rare ones. Who was it? Oh, it was Rome. It was Rome Odunze going to Chicago. Broke me. That broke
Okay.
my heart last year. I wanted him actually for Indy, but obviously it not only hurt that he didn't even get close to Indy, he also went to a Packers rival. So
Yeah.
it hurt me in two different ways. But I wanted him so bad. And yeah, I actually the real one that broke me was 2 years ago when the Packers didn't take JSN and he has completely turned into an even better player than I thought he was going to. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Those ones always suck too. It's like, hey, my mock draft was better than this real draft.
Yeah, and then the Packers took Van Ness that year, and he just he's been okay, but he hasn't really
Yeah.
worked out that well. So it is what it is. So
All right, next trade I can talk to because this is it's the one trade my team actually did make, so that's something. We got for Kyle Duggar in a seventh for a six. So same thing. You move down around, you pick up a depth player. Um, I like this move, but it's just like the Bears one to where it's not an upgrade because it's a replacement for a better player who got injured. So Deshaun Elliott
right,
is done basically for the year. Chuck Clark is on this team. I don't know if you know much about Chuck Clark, but he is a disgrace to the game of
yeah, I was about
football.
to say not great, right?
He's horrible. He's so bad. And so I'd rather him not play again. But I will give I'll give Duggar credit. He started the whole Colts game. His first week, he played like every snap, and he did. Obviously, the whole defense did good. I didn't watch him like closely on all 22 or something, but he played well. Um, it's basically a rental because he's free to sign wherever he wants after this year. But if he plays well, I wouldn't mind keeping him. I don't think he'd cost something outrageous. So just smart depth. It makes sense. You needed a safety. You signed another safety. Weirdly enough, we just have the Patriots safety room from last year because
Seriously,
we because we got Peppers too in the offseason. So we just got Peppers and Duggar now out there just doing their jobs.
that's hilarious.
And to
I didn't
be
know.
fair to
I
Duggar losing a spot in New England was more about scheme fit than it was playing. Like
Yeah,
Duggar's still a
that's
solid player, especially in the box, but knew he needed a change of scenery, and I think I was glad to give it to him.
yeah, like that's basically what I heard is that like he just kind of wasn't really a variable guy. And then
Yeah.
it just like with the scheme they ran, it was just kind of like you know, weren't really going to use him in that way, which is fine. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Like I think the perception of that sometimes gets misconstrued. Like when a player's not playing, like oh they must suck. Like not necessarily. They might just not be the best spot for them. So I think that's a fine move. That screams rental to me, but like you said, he probably won't cost that much. So if you want to bring him back, you probably can. But
Yeah.
even for a rental to give up basically nothing and get a guy who
Yeah.
is fully capable of starting is not bad by any means.
Move down around you, get a starter. So that was New England's move was because they also moved on from Keon White, who I guess they also believe did not fit in their system. Same thing, except even weirder because it was a the Patriots gave their sixth round pick to the Niners, and the Niners got New England's sixth round pick. So it was a swap of the same round picks in the same year. So I guess they're just banking on one being worse than the other.
I guess that doesn't make much
So
sense to
Keon
me.
White, it makes a lot of sense for San Francisco because of the injuries like we've talked about over and over again. I mean, so many guys have been hurt, and so adding a guy like Keon who has had relative success before. So like in 2024, he had 13 starts and 5 sacks, which isn't horrible for a young guy. It's just
Yeah,
another guy who didn't fit the system. So we'll see how he works out The Patriots are another team, I guess. Do you think they should have been more aggressive? Because now I think about it, they're a team who could have used another receiver too, if we're being honest. But even this is the year they're finally good. They broke out and they're like, we're gonna stand pat. We're gonna actually trade away depth for late
Yeah.
picks. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't. Maybe we could have done more. I don't know.
Yeah. So with the Patriots, I thought they were gearing up to do something big. I didn't know what because of those
Mm,
moves, like you mentioned, getting rid of Duggar and getting rid of Keon White. I was like, they're probably going to do something. I just can't think of what. And they were always, yeah, they're going to get Miles Garrett. They were never going to get Miles Garrett, but like nobody was going to get Miles Garrett. They just gave the man generational money
Crap.
to stay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it that they didn't really add anything. My only thing is like, if there was going to be a time to like make a big splash, it would be now. But like,
Yeah.
honestly, there aren't like a ton of, moderate pieces that could have helped them that much. So I don't know. I don't really mind them doing that. Plus, I don't know as good as they are this year. I don't know if they're winning a Super Bowl this year unless they
Yeah.
like, you can make the argument if they did get a player like a Miles Garrett or something, like maybe that can push them into that level. But I'm still not convinced they're going to win the division, even though they are in first place right now. But I think this is
Yeah.
kind of like a make the playoffs. See where you can go. Obviously, if you're when you're in, you can do whatever. Like you could go on a nice run and win it
Yeah.
all. But I think this is kind of the year they have basically what Washington should have done after, or well, actually no, what Washington tried to do and it just didn't work out, which is have the big year, go to the playoffs, and then you kind of push all
The
in the
off
off
season.
season and just hope to God you don't have horrible luck like Washington has had this year. But I don't know. I don't mind the Patriots not doing that. I'm excited to watch that game on Sunday. Them and the Bucks. I think that's going to tell a lot about
That should be
where the
fun. Yeah.
Pats are at. If they win that one, then it's like wow. Like I think they're legit either way, but it's like wow, they are really like back. Which as a Colts fan, I'm not a big fan of the Patriots, so I'm not happy about
No,
that. But like they built it the right way, so it is
trust
what
me,
it is.
Steelers fans don't like him either.
Yeah.
Any AFC team who is making the playoffs in the 2000s is not a fan of the Patriots.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Any
So a few
team
more of
that
these smaller trades. Roger McCreary, a corner, went from Tennessee to the Rams. Uh, Basically a swap. So the Titans got a fifth, and the Rams got a sixth in return, along with the corner. Depth at corner, where they've had some injuries, including Witherspoon breaking his clavicle early in the year. So that makes a lot of sense for the Rams. I guess it's another Patriots-like question, but almost in the opposite. It's kind of what I said about the Jets. Even the Saints, who only sold Shaheed, I thought maybe they would sell Olave or I don't know any other bodies who were worth selling. Granted, it's not the most talented roster of all time, but do you think the Titans made a mistake at all not selling more? Like I know they had a lot of calls for like people on that D line, for example, and they said no, we're not doing it.
yeah, so I believe what it was obviously Justin Simmons um
Sweat, I forget his
and yeah,
first name, but
I
the
think
kid
Tavondre
from
Sweat.
Texas, they
Yeah, and
drafted like a
I
year ago.
yeah, I know him because he was on the Texas team in 2023 that won the Big 12 over Oklahoma State. And
Okay.
he hit the Heisman pose in the Big 12 championship game because he caught a touchdown, which even though
Nice.
I was like upset at them, I was like, that's hilarious, honestly. but
Yeah.
but no, like I don't mind them. Like I would have kept Tavondre Sweat unless you got blown out of the water. Like if you got like
Yeah.
a because he was a second round pick. If you got like a first plus for him, maybe, but I don't think they would have gotten that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind them keeping him. Or it's Jeffrey Simmons. I said Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons with the old
That's
Broncos safety.
I get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Quentin Williams and Sauce, where it's like unless you get blown out of the water, you probably keep him as a foundational piece. But like, you know,
Yeah.
it's I don't know if they got a huge offer for him, I would say yeah, they probably need to take that. But like, I assume they didn't. Like, I think the Bills were interested from what I heard, but especially with all their D line injuries they've had like at all over, and then they lost Hoyt for the
Yeah.
year. But I don't know. I don't mind them not getting rid of him. Like if they had only gotten like one first for him, which only one first, that's pretty good. But only one for a guy who's that important to the team. Like they are a completely different defense without him. Like I watched
Yeah.
I watched the Titans against the Colts a couple weeks ago. They didn't have him on the field, and they were just getting gashed on every play. It was like, holy cow! And like, to be fair, it's not like they did much the first time they played the Colts when he was on the field, but
Yeah.
they didn't look completely like burnt toast like they did the second time around. So
They're just such a bad team. It's what makes it tough. I'm like, I don't know. I would have sold even more people. I would have tried to move.
yeah,
I would have tried to move Calvin Ridley for
that
sure.
that one I would have made that deal for like
Yeah.
not that much to be honest.
Give me a fifth. Give
Yeah,
me a 20, 30 fifth. And
that contract is so bad. It's like they had to outbid Jacksonville to get him, and it just has not
yeah.
worked out.
Sure, Jacksonville's grateful.
Yeah, like thank God we didn't spend all that. They got like 24 million a year for or 20 something like that for a guy who can't catch. Like just
Yeah.
to be honest, like he's made like two good plays this year, and they
Yeah.
were
So
probably both against the Cardinals.
yeah. If any picks help, but I guess their focus is just try not to break Cam Ward.
Yeah, and that's
They
that's easier
haven't
said
helped
than
much.
yeah, that's
He's
easier
already
said
on a
than
new
done.
coach. So
Yeah,
it's always great for stability to be on a new
yeah,
coach already.
they should have just fired Brian Callahan in the offseason, man. They really should have.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
even if they were going to be this bad, just who, like, why even waste the first month of the season? Like, I
There's
don't
not a
get
lot
it.
of coaches I've seen clearly in over their heads. He's one of them. Like
Yeah,
it just
like,
seems pretty clear from day one. It's like this guy's not ready to be a head coach in the
yeah,
NFL.
like he wasn't as big of a disaster as like Nathaniel Hackett was a few years ago with Denver. That was like one of the biggest messes I've ever seen. But like, it's like in the realm, which is not a good thing because Nathaniel Hackett just looked completely lost and overwhelmed. Brian Callahan just looks like an idiot to me. Like, like I think he gets the concepts of how the NFL works. I just don't think he's very smart about football.
Yeah,
But
he
I'm not.
came from
I'm
Cincy, right?
yeah. Zach Taylor's coaching tree.
Yeah.
It's the
So it's
funniest
also like
sentence.
it's another job where it's like if we're being honest, that's Zach Taylor's offense. So
Right.
like you hired a guy who wasn't even running his own offense to come be
Yeah.
your head coach. So it's always interesting. They really
Yeah.
thought they were gonna get the Sean McVay magic from like a third degree. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
it's like
Like
Zach Taylor worked with McVay, so this guy must be good too.
it's like the
You know?
McVay magic twice removed. I don't think is
Yeah.
really a thing. I guess, but like I think that's what the Falcons have been hoping for with Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator, and that just has not worked out either. And I want him to do well because he's an Oklahoma State alum. He was a quarterback
Yeah.
back when I was like two. He was a guy we were talking about for potentially taking the head coach job at Oklahoma State, and now I'm like I don't even know if I want to hire him at this point, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
All right, we can keep going. We have this video is just now it's trade deadline instead of mid-season, but
Right. So
it's a better video. Trade deadline just happened. Although now we're going to, there was a lot. I think it's maybe why we thought it fell earlier this year. There was a lot of trades pre-deadline this year. I feel like almost more than what we normally see, is what I'd say.
yeah, yeah, it definitely
So
feels
we're
that
on
way.
a lot
Even
of those now.
yeah, because you had big moves, you had like kind of you had a couple you named that I didn't even heard about, but
Yeah.
but then you had moves like the McCreary one. It's like all right, that doesn't really make a huge
Yeah.
difference, but it is what it is. Like
But even like a Jalen Phillips deal, I'm pretty sure, wasn't that before the deadline?
yeah, that was I think a day before. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe over the weekend because they didn't play. I can't remember exactly.
So then one of the more interesting ones from earlier in the year, this was back in October 8th. That was the Jags and the Browns swapping corners. So Greg Newsome went to Jacksonville and Tyson Campbell went to the Browns. And Jacksonville actually got a sixth round pick for it, and the Browns got a seventh. So they actually got to move up around and take the better corner. This is pretty much all about pay. It's like because Newsome makes more and is better. But I guess Cleveland thought, hey, we'll get a little cheaper with a guy who's still good. He's just not as good as Newsome. It felt more like clearing books. And because Newsome has to get paid, it's the Jags being aggressive again. I guess it'll be curious to see if they pay him or if it's just a rental. But I do think Newsome's is he's not like super elite. Browns fans love to talk him up a lot, but now that he's gone, obviously they don't anymore. But he's he's
Yeah,
he's pretty darn good. I'd say for sure he's a solid CB2 at this level, maybe better, depending on what they're going to do with Travis Hunter, I guess. But I think it was I think it was a good move for Jacksonville, and it's probably helped them be as decent as they are this year.
Yeah, like I think that's a fine move. I think, by the way, we'll probably cut the trade deadline stuff here just so we don't have to go too far back, like to the beginning of the
Okay.
season. So
Yeah,
this will
that's
probably be
fine.
the last one of those moves we talk about, just because then we're starting to get into like moves for guys in like the early weeks that were like
So
for
the two basically it's up to you, but the last two in October would be Flacco going to the Browns and Adafe Gilman trade, but we already touched on that one. So
yeah.
it's pretty much just Flacco left to talk about.
Yeah. So you know what? Sure. We'll talk about Flacco. Gotta
Talk
get
about
some
Flacco.
Flacco talk in.
With that, all right. And we
That's
can,
why
if
that's
you want
why
anything else, round it up. All right. So the last trade we'll be talking about, given that we've already gone super far back, so this is the
yeah.
earliest we'll go is October 7th because it's the last one that is really of consequence, and it was in the middle of the season still, it felt like. And that was Joe Flacco going to Cincy for a pick swap. So the Browns got to take a six and turn it into a fifth, basically. And so there's a lot of commentary on this one from my team included. My head coach was not very happy about this move. But to be fair, I get it. Like realistically, the Browns suck, so it's fine. But it definitely goes against the spirit of divisional rivalries
Yeah.
and competition. You don't trade a guy you deemed good enough to be your starter to a divisional rival normally, but it's the
Right.
Browns. So we're not surprised. The Browns are the Browns, and give Joe Flacco a lot of credit, man. I mean, obviously that Bengals offense is insane. So like, as long as you make the throws, you have very capable receivers on that team. But
Right.
he's been making throws. He just put up like 470 yards. So it's objectively a great move for Cincy if they were trying to keep their season alive. Not that it is. That defense is just too bad to overcome.
Yeah.
But Flacco has done a lot of good for that offense, all things considered.
Yeah. And that's a move that I laughed at when it was first made because it was like, really, this is the way you're gonna try and save your season? Because by that point, I think they were just coming off of the loss to Detroit, and it was like this Jake Browning thing is just untenable. We just
Yeah.
cannot keep going with this. And they make the move, and I was like, well, he'll probably still be better than Browning, and he's been really good ever since he got to
Objectively.
Cincy. Yeah, like every game he's had them in it. The only game they didn't put up like a ridiculous amount of points was the Green Bay game, but that was off of a 5 days of practice there. So I think that's pretty
Yeah.
excusable. Plus, I think the Green Bay defense is good, unless they're playing Dallas, I guess, but whatever. So then they had the Steeler game where they put up a bunch, and they had yeah. I'm sure you don't want to talk about that one, but
We're
yeah,
cursed Thursday night road games. It is what it is.
yeah, the Steeler game where they put up a bunch. I can't remember exactly, and then they had the Jet game, which is just like a total season reversal in my opinion. That game was like you win
Their
that
defense.
one. If you win that one, you're 500, and
Yeah.
you're what a half a game back from Pittsburgh. I think it would have been 4-3 versus 4-4. Like you could make the case they could be in
Yeah.
first in their division in like a week after that game. Like if
They should
everything
have
falls
beat
your
the
way.
Bears too.
Yeah, and then the Chicago game, it's like okay, well maybe
They
you
had the
can get it
lead with
turned
under a
around.
minute left.
Yeah, I mean after getting an onside kick too. I mean it's just like the craziest game of the year, and of course. It's their defense giving up like 570 yards or something, like an
So
unbelievable
bad.
amount. Yeah, I mean they are.
Unbelievable.
I literally did the math. They're on pace to be the worst defense of all time, like for points per game allowed. Like
That
literally,
GM has to go, man. I forget who tweeted it, but it
it's
was
yeah,
something like
it's Duke Tobin is his
the
name.
last like four drafts, their first and second round picks have all been defense.
They've all
They
sucked.
haven't produced. They haven't even made a Pro Bowl. Like none of their first and second round has been defenders for the past like four seasons, and none of those dudes can even make a Pro Bowl. Like there's
Yeah,
coaching
like
going on too. I do wonder. It's a weird balance because the offense is so good, and you
right.
probably credit Taylor to that partially. A lot of it's just the talent they have, if we're being honest. But it's like do you fire Zach Taylor for how incompetent this team is, or do you just trust that it's like, actually, this isn't your fault, Zach. It's the GM's fault. But then, how do you not, when you fire a GM, if you want to hire a good one, if we're being honest, any GM worth anything wants to hire their own coach. That's kind of what
Right.
being a GM is. And so it's very interesting situation for Cincy. But from what I understand, their GM's all buddy buddy with ownership, and everyone hates their ownership, if we're being
Yeah.
honest. You
Yeah.
see,
Like,
so there's a good chance that they don't fire anyone.
yeah, which is unbelievable because you know what the excuse is going to be. Last year, the scapegoat was Lou
Burrow was
Anarumo.
out.
Yeah, last year was Lou Anarumo. And it was like, well, the defense is
Yep,
bad, so fire Lou Anarumo. And they bring
he's
in
doing
Al
fine.
Golden, and he's just not doing anything. And then Lou Anarumo's in Indy, and their defense is, you know, it's pretty good. It's not amazing, but then they just add a elite piece. Like the talent disparity between Cincinnati's defense and Indy's. I mean, he's got to be jumping for joy right now. Like it's like, how did I get out of there and like get a
It
job
was
immediately?
crazy. Indy's defense was built. A lot of those guys were later picks. Like since he's
Right.
invested more draft capital than a lot of teams, and they just don't. I don't. They're picking them bad, or their coach developing bad. Anything, all of it. Probably, if you're that bad, it's all of it.
Yeah.
Coaching, development, evaluation, all of it. So it's just, yeah. I don't. I'm
I don't
still mad
know.
at Al Golden, by the way, because Notre Dame wouldn't even have to be fearful with two losses right now if Golden just stayed on the stinking team instead of joining
Yeah.
the worst defense in football. It's like, why did you do that to yourself, man? It's gonna be gone in a year. They're gonna blame him.
Yeah, he's gonna go next. I mean, it's just crazy to me. They're never gonna make these changes. Like if I had to guess, if they fire anyone, they'll probably fire Tobin and keep Taylor. That would be my guess because, the fan base is sick of Zach Taylor too, which, I can't even blame them because it's like you're the head coach and your team for
I
three
won't
years in a
lie.
row.
I thought he's been pretty. It feels like a lot of times they've won in spite of him. I
Yeah,
don't.
they're pretty sterile team right now with him. It's like they're not going anywhere. Like, I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy that leads them to the promised land. But then again, they made the Super Bowl with him just a
Yeah.
few years ago, and I mean, clearly the offense is good. Like his offense is not a bad offense at all. Like as long as the quarterback is capable, and like you said, talent is part of it. But the O line's been bad, and he's
Yeah.
partially been able to work around that. So I don't know. It's very very confusing. I don't even know what they should do or what they could do. But if like you said, there's a good GM candidate out there, and they want to bring in their own coach, like I just go ahead and do that. Like, or
Yeah.
even if
You
they
let
could
him.
get, yeah, even if they could get a coach, like I'm not saying this guy specifically, just in the archetype, like a Robert Saleh type, where he's deep. I think they need to go defense minded head coach clearly because I think Joe Burrow is going to be able to work in any offense as long as he's healthy. I
Yeah.
think so. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing, but they are very frustrating. My dad's a big time fan, and
Oh,
it's just that he hasn't even wanted to talk about the defense. Like he's like,
yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm like, I can't blame you. It's very frustrating.
Finally. As a Steelers fan, it's great watching the
Oh yeah.
dysfunction of the Bengals and the Browns all the time.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
They talked so much. That's the funny part.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I feel
Every
that.
year they're like, "This is our year." I'm like, "Okay, guys, you forget you
Yeah.
have no O line, and Joe Burrow is gonna die like a weekend, just like he does every year." And like,
Right.
your
Yeah.
defense sucks, and you put all your money on offense. Like, our defense sucks. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna pay T. Higgins. That's gonna solve.
Yeah.
They scored 38. Did you see that stat as like the first team since 19 like 60 to lose two games in a row while
Yeah.
scoring more points?
That's just
Like,
like that's the most Bengals stat I've ever seen in my life.
it's
Like
crazy. Oh boy.
hot take, if you score at least 38 points in the game, you should win. Like
You probably
90% of the
should.
time. Like they're like
You
under
must have blown them
500 in
out.
games. They're like under 500 in games where they score 38 points over the last 2 years. That like the rest of the NFL, I think has like two losses or something. I can't remember exactly. It's been a little while, but like it's just
See, most people
God bless
joke
them.
when they say it, but the Bengals literally no lead is safe
No,
unless the other team has under 30 seconds and no timeouts. No lead
no,
is safe.
but then you say that
Even
and it's
then,
like a 70-yard touchdown.
yeah.
Like
So maybe they didn't even need it. It's like, bro, especially a minute. If you give him a minute, you're done.
Yeah, like my jaw literally hit the floor when I saw the I was like didn't have the game on local TV, but I had the the ESPN
Yeah.
app, so I was looking at the Bears Bengals ending. I was like, holy crap, they got an onside kick, they scored. But I was like they're still gonna lose. Like there's no
Yeah.
way. And then but I thought, it was gonna be field goal and then maybe they could miss a field goal or something.
Yeah.
And then they score. I see touchdown. I'm like, there's no chance.
It's
and,
bad.
and then the play itself is like that's the epitome. Like to not only leave a guy who has not done much this year, and
No.
that's no
Such a
insult
weird
towards
draft pick by the Bears, by the way, but we don't have to.
yeah, yeah, like to like not even shade towards him, but he just has not done much to leave him open
Ultimate.
right at the field goal line, by the way. So it's like,
It was
yeah, we
almost
can kick a field
worse
goal.
because yeah, he was open to catch it, but then there was three or four Bengals in his face, and they all failed to
Yeah,
tackle him.
every
So
single one of them missed. I mean, literally every single one. It's one of the most pathetic, like good play for the Bears, obviously, but like one of the most pathetic defensive efforts I've ever seen in my life.
just gotta
I was
find that
like,
photo. It's horrible. It's
yeah, and it's
it reminded me of the Minneapolis Miracle when the Saint safety just dives and completely whiffs on Diggs and just walking to the end zone. It's like that
yeah,
is right
that's they're just so frustrating. But hey, you know what? At least
there.
they're entertaining every week.
Yep.
They
You
can
get
they
a show.
can they can beat anyone. It's just that they're probably not going to. But
I guess that's a team I don't blame for not being aggressive because I don't think a Quinnen Williams or a Sauce Gardner would turn that defense around. So there's no
no,
point.
no chance, no.
Yeah.
And they would never make a move like that
They
anyway
wouldn't
because
pay
they're
him
that.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, like they won't even pay Trey Hendrickson, who's like the only good piece on their defense. And I know he's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
because he's like 31. Who cares? Like
It's
that's
so
not that
weird for
old.
Spain, man. That was such a mistake on his part, but it's fine. He can leave in the offseason and he should. But
Yeah, and honestly, I would not mind if he goes to Indy to be back with Lou, but I don't know if they're gonna
that's
do
where I
that.
all thought. I mean, that's where a lot of us thought he was going to go when there were
Right, like
still trade rumors. But
yeah,
yeah,
I thought the Colts were gonna trade for him on
better if you can get him
or
for free,
yesterday,
I
but
guess. Just 1 year later.
yeah,
Try that.
honestly, like yeah, but I thought they were gonna trade for him. And then I saw the Sauce thing. I was like, well, I'm cool with that move. Like like, like
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm more than okay with that one. Well, all pro corner, I'll take that over a you know very good edge rusher. But
Who's
maybe we
hurt,
can,
I think,
yeah,
again. So
I
that's part of it.
guess, but I don't know.
All
But yeah,
right.
very frustrating team there. But that's besides all that.
Yeah. Yeah, anything else? Should we hit like a winners and losers? Anything broad like that? Or do you just want to leave it at that?
um, I can't really think of a ton else other than
We literally
maybe
went over every trade we
yeah,
did
we
with the work.
every trade we already talked about our teams. We had a discussion about the Cincinnati Bengals
Yeah. I love it. Anytime I
as you
can rag on a
should.
Cincy, I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, that's I don't blame you. I don't like talking about their demise, but it's like they're just in such a bad
Cleveland too. I'll
spot
talk
right
about
now.
Cleveland all day.
I do like talking about Cleveland because of a certain move they made a few years ago. Um,
Oh, they're so bad.
I bet they're regretting that one, 24 plus times over, if you know what I mean.
All they do is they make bad moves and then they also like set precedents that hurt other teams.
Right.
Like when
I'm glad
they threw a bag at Miles Garrett and then they were the first team to sign a fully guaranteed second round pick. So all of a sudden every
right.
team is having to scramble to sign their
I
second round
forgot
pick for
about
fully
that.
guaranteed
Yeah.
deals. Yeah, it's like a weird thing. A lot of guys were holding out this offseason. You're like, I wonder why. The Browns. That's the answer always. Like something weird's happening in the NFL. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the Browns.
Yeah,
And then something.
honestly.
Deshaun
Y-
Watson's contract.
God.
They've set so many weird contract precedents, man. Like,
Man,
oh boy.
nobody I almost like I'm never like a yeah, the guy deserved to be injured guy, but there's one exception, honestly. Like, let's be for real.
And no physical therapy for him this time, man. So
Yeah, sad.
he'll do it on his
But
own. Better get that Theragun.
oh God. Yeah, but other than that, can't really think of a ton else other than if just like super quick, if you have like a prediction, let's say for the one seed, not for the Super Bowl, do you have a one seed prediction in each conference that you have?
Yeah, I'll check the standings and I can just give you my playoff teams.
Yeah,
and
because
then
for me, I'll
Giants.
just keep mine quick. I'm gonna stick by my boys in Indy and hope that they get it. They have a not horrible schedule. They have some tough games on the stretch, but I'll say Colts for the AFC, and I'll say because I think it's gonna be the NFC West winner, and it's either gonna be Seattle or the Rams. I'm leaning Rams because they've done it, but
Uh,
I'll go Rams, I guess. I mean, maybe Tampa can too because I don't think they. I mean, their
yeah, Tampa
division's pretty weak
is right
right
now.
now, so. I don't know. Maybe yeah, I'll do that. I'll go Tampa and I'll go Colts and just hope that Tampa can scrape through and with the amount of injuries they have. But I believe
So
in
it's
Baker, so there's that.
it's seven playoff teams, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll give my seven first, not in order. I'm just reading them, and then I'll say who I think is the first seed. So I will go in the AFC. I'll go Patriots, Bills, Steelers, Colts, Denver, Chargers, Chiefs. So I'm giving three teams to the West, two to the East, and then I'm only giving the North and South one each. It's how I
yeah,
see it playing now. Obviously, like you said, maybe the injuries become too much for the Chargers, but I just think those three teams are all too good to fall off enough for Jacksonville or Baltimore probably has the best bet of those other teams, but I don't know. Maybe they're just too far behind the eight ball this year. We'll see, I guess. But
yeah.
that's who we have it. And then I guess I'm taking a risk because this team currently isn't even in first place in their own division. But I think the Bills get it
That's a good pick.
done and get the first seed this year. And
Yeah, and that
then
would be that would be so huge for them too.
finally getting that.
Yeah, for
And then
real.
my NFC teams is tougher. Yeah, it is tougher. But okay. That's it. Philly is the only playoff team from the East. I think you go Green Bay, Detroit for sure. You go Tampa for sure, and then Seattle and the Rams. Okay, so three West teams. I think the Niners make it too. So that'd be yeah. So Seattle, Rams, Niners, Bucks, Packers, Lions, Eagles. And then for that one seed, it's boring, but I think you play it safe, and I think Philly probably still manages to get the one seed.
Yeah, I mean those are all
They'll be
good picks.
close this year, but I think the West will beat itself enough that
That
one
makes
of those
sense.
teams won't make that first seed. The East is down, so I think Philly gets to take advantage of a bad commies and a bad Cowboys team, and then the
Yeah.
Giants are the
I
Giants.
mean, yeah, we don't
Obviously
even need
irrelevant.
to mention the Giants. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
the only
but
question is the North could get three playoff teams too. That was my only tough debate was between the
yeah,
North or the West getting three teams.
yeah. I think I agree with the teams you picked for the NFC, all of them.
Yeah,
It's it's hard to take anybody out of the AFC right now, but I just believe Baltimore is going to find their way in.
yeah,
And so if
it's
I if
definitely
I have
possible.
to if I have to pick one, I say Pittsburgh wins the division, but I say Baltimore is a wild card. And if I had to pick one, I hate to do it because I like this team, but I do think I would take the Chargers out
Yeah,
just
the
because I think
injuries
that's
just too
the
much.
injuries are just going to be so much of an issue down the stretch because it's like they're not dominating anybody right now anyway. I know they dominated
Yeah,
Minnesota the other night, but that was really the only one they've dominated in a long time. They were close with the Titans, they were close with the Dolphins, and
yeah.
a win's a win. They're 6-3, I think, so it's not like they're
Yep.
falling off a
Six and
cliff
three.
or anything. But when they had to face Indy, they got dominated. When they had to face, uh, you know, heck, they lost to the Giants, but that one, I mean, that was a Jackson Dart generational, pickup game, I guess. Um, and
We're
then
ready
who's the
for
other?
him.
I can't even remember the other team they lost. Was it Washington? Maybe did they lose to Washington?
Yeah, I think they did lose to the commies. Like
Yeah,
the one
and
game Jaden Daniels played properly.
right, I was gonna say like even though they've been injured, like that was like the one game where it's like, yeah, they looked like a playoff team that game, and they got crushed in
Yeah.
that game. So, and it sucks because they won all those games to start the year in the AFC West. Like they swept all three of the division opponents, and I just don't know. That might be the thing that saves them is getting out to that 3-0 start so they could have a
Yeah, it
cushion.
should.
But and I do like Jim Harbaugh, and I believe that he can get them somewhere. It's just I don't know. It's if I have to put Baltimore in, I have to take someone out. So I guess I pick them because I don't think Denver is going to fall off, and I can't by the
Just can't
virtue
do
of
it to the Chiefs.
I can't
Just
take the Chiefs out. I
literally.
hate it. I would love the Chiefs to
Yeah.
be out, but
Yeah.
I can't pick them to not make it. They're out right now, technically, if the playoffs started today, but
It's what I
they're
get last year when I'm like, oh, look how the Chiefs are barely beating anyone, man.
right.
It's a down year. Then they make the stink at Super Bowl. So
Trust me, that was
granted,
me. That was me all year. I was like, there's no way this team is going to get home field right, and they literally won every game by one score.
it's so crazy.
Now they can't win one score games. They're like 0 and 4 in their one score games, which is
That's nice.
insane. Yeah, it's a nice little turnaround. I mean, there
Is
is a chance that
Denver is Denver the quietest 7-2 team of like all time, dude? Like,
yeah, because their
no
offense
one's talking
stinks.
about
Because their offense
them.
stinks. It's so
Yeah,
bad. They were good against Dallas and they had a good fourth quarter against the Giants, but
everyone's good
yeah.
against Dallas.
Yeah, but it's cool because
But holy crap.
I think they're going to win the division though. So it is cool for
Yeah.
that. And they have the Raiders this week, so I think they're going to win that one and they're going to be 8-2. And then they have the Chiefs after that. And if they beat the Chiefs once, I think that's the thing that seals it because I don't see them completely falling off a cliff at
Yeah,
any
dude,
point.
this schedule is favorable.
Yeah, what is it? Like, let me take a look. I'll look at my
So
end as
I
well
can
just
tell
to
you.
get it.
So it's the Raiders, like you said, Thursday night football should be a win. Chiefs, then you get the Jaden Daniels less Commanders, so that should be
Oh
a win if we're being
God.
honest. The Raiders again, free
Oh
win.
my Lord.
Your tough game would be the Packers. That's a tough game for sure. The
Yeah.
Jaguars, they're
Eh.
good, but I think objectively that's Denver's game to lose. And
Yeah.
then your final two are divisional games again. So you get the Chiefs Thursday night, and then you get the Chargers last game of the year, and who knows how healthy they'll be at that point.
I
So it's winnable.
God, let me count like the sure wins because there's several sure wins there, I think. I mean, obviously, it's all fun and
I
games
count
till the Raiders
three.
beat them, but
Yeah, I count the Raiders twice in the commies, which means at bare minimum they should be a 10-7 team, and it's if they lose all the other ones. Like they should
yeah.
at least split some of those.
Oh my God, they're going to be at least 10-3 in a few weeks. That's insane.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
wild. Yeah. And then, like you said, the stretch at the end is tough. Green Bay, Jacksonville, Chiefs, Chargers. I think they could probably split that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like they could maybe beat the Chargers, maybe beat like the Jaguars or the Packers or whatever. I'm not going to just say Packers beat them just because I'm a Packer fan, but
Yeah. I think that the
that's
Packers are likely to, but it's not a
yeah. But it's
given.
also last time they played in Denver, the Broncos were 1-5 and the Packers lost to them. So
That altitude.
that damn altitude, I hate it, but that's I think that's pretty favorable right there. That looks like division champion because let me look Chiefs real quick because that's the other one. I don't think the Chargers are going to win the division, like I said, just because of injuries, but technically
Yeah.
they're alive for it. But Chiefs' next few games are they're on their bye this week. Then they're at
Actually,
Denver.
the Chiefs have it even easier than the Broncos do. Holy
Uh,
crap.
it's not. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm looking at it now. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
Bronco.
the Broncos and Colts are tough, but then you get the
Yeah,
Cowboys, the Texans, the Chargers, the Titans, and then
yeah, that's actually pretty easy. But they're still
Broncos would be.
5-4 compared to 7-2. So I guess it's like you kind of
Oh,
have to sweep them if you want a chance to win the division.
I feel like they have four expected wins in there too, though,
God,
which
it
helps a lot.
sucks. Can they lose every other game? Please,
And
can they
yeah,
lose every
nine
other
wins might not
game?
be enough to be fair,
Yeah,
but
but yeah, 9 wins won't be enough, I don't think, this year. But I mean, 9 wins wasn't enough the last 2 years, which is wait, was it last year? It might have. No, no, Denver won 10 games and they were the seven. So no, that
okay.
it wasn't enough last year. Um, and even like the Texans when they won the South last year, the South sucked and they won 10 games, but they still won 10. So yeah, I think Broncos take the division, but Chiefs. It's just going to be so annoying when they go on another run. It's going to be so freaking annoying, but it is what it is. I'm just hoping they lose the next couple weeks. Because if they lose the next couple weeks, then maybe no, I'm not even going to finish. I was going to say maybe they get some confidence taken out of them. No,
Yeah.
it's them.
They'll
They're
be
going to like
below. I mean, if the two games this week and next week go away, people probably think they will be below 500. So maybe that does get in their
yeah.
heads.
I'm just worried that the Colts with their fully healthy secondary, hopefully off the bye. I'm worried that they're going
Yeah.
to put up a no show in Kansas City like they did in Pittsburgh. I'm just so worried about that.
Their
Like,
defense did all right against Pittsburgh, though, to be fair. They were put in a lot of
yeah,
bad spots because all the turnovers. So
yeah, and plus the secondary is going to be better now, and it's definitely going to be better then because they will have Ward and Sauce in the game. But
and that Chiefs wide receiver room, man, that's still it's Mahomes makes it work, but it's not exactly the scariest thing you've ever seen. It's more about scheme and Mahomes.
yeah, they have enough guys to make it work, but it's not. They don't have,
Yeah.
really have like one star. Like Xavier Worthy just is not like that kind of guy. Rasheed Rice is the closest they have to that, but
Like Jacoby Myers would be their best receiver if they had him.
honestly,
If they traded for him, he would have been their best receiver.
yeah, I mean, honestly, he would at least be the two. I mean,
Yeah.
Rice is pretty good. It's just he has only played a few games since he came back, so I guess it's kind of quick to judge whether he's
He's I don't
that
like
good or
those.
not.
He's not my kind of speedster, man. I prefer different
Yeah,
speeds.
yeah,
He's a
me too.
reckless. He's a reckless speedster, is what he
Yeah,
is.
he unfortunately he took gotta go fast and he took it off the field, which is not
Something about AFC West receivers, man. They just pull the
dude.
rug out from under you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Don't put it
So,
like that. No, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
You're right
Great
though.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
so
least
I did last year. The bottom two wild cards in the AFC was there was 10-7, and then it actually was even tougher in the NFC because he had to be 11-6, which was Green
yeah,
Bay.
I remember that. That sucked. The two there were two division winners in the NFC last year that only won 10 games, but then Green Bay won 11 and they were stuck at 7 and then third in their
Yeah,
division. That was rough. And then they, just happened to run into the, Super Bowl champs, so that didn't help either, but whatever.
it happens.
It happens. And that was also right when Watson got hurt and then Dobbs got hurt in the game and it was like, yeah, that's a wrap on the season right there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else before we wrap this up?
I think I'll have to do some editing around stuff. I think we got a lot of the bulk of it. We covered every trade. I think I said I liked what Philly did a lot. I think the Jets are, even though it doesn't feel like, I feel like they are winners of the trade deadline just for the value they got. And then the
Yeah.
losers, it's more opinion, but it's just the teams who weren't aggressive when maybe they should have been. So the Steelers, the Bills, any team like that where you're like, you guys could be chasing something, but you're sitting put, and we'll see. I mean, ultimately, no one will care about what happened at the trade deadline if they're in the Super Bowl, but
Right.
the Bills haven't done it yet, and they had a chance to add to what I thought would help them a lot. But
Yeah, like I'm not gonna be like some of these hot take people that are like, the Colts and the Cowboys are actually losers in these trades because they gave up assets, and it's like you're just
how
completely ignoring the
dare
context.
the
Like,
7-2 team be aggressive at the trade
how dare the
deadline? How
7-2 team that never makes aggressive moves be aggressive one time? I swear, if the Chiefs made that move, what a great move by the Chiefs.
they
Honestly,
don't
truly,
they know free agents are always dying to come to Indianapolis, Indiana? Don't
yeah,
they know how
honestly,
easy it
yeah,
is for the
yeah.
Colts to
Like
get top players?
Sauce had no idea the trade was going to happen. I wonder how he feels about. I mean, I'm sure he's happy going to a good team,
He
but
was
I
clearly
wonder
shocked, but yeah, I
I
think it
wonder how
helped.
he feels
He went to
going to a
college
market
in
like that.
Cincy, so
That's
hopefully
true.
he's not all like, I hate the Midwest. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know
think
where
he
he's
will
from
be.
originally, to be fair, but
Yeah, obviously teams embraced him too, which
yep.
makes sense because he's literally an elite player, and yeah, he's going to be on the team for the next several years, you would imagine. But
Did you see the two Jets kids who were crying when
oh
they were
my
told to
God,
get
that was
traded?
hilarious, dude.
Well,
I
the
like the
Colts
Colts
they
now.
posted something today, like he sent them two Colts jerseys or something like that.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's really funny because a virtually exact same thing happened when Micah got traded to the
Yeah,
Packers, and he did the exact same thing. He video called them and gave them
yeah.
jerseys, which is that's really funny. It's
Hey,
also
if
funny. I'm just now realizing neither of my teams have picks for the future. So dear God, at least
Corey
one of
Dack,
them win, please.
yeah. So yeah, that's what was it. I can't blame even the comments are like normally bandwagons, regardless of age, they get some rightful criticism, but everyone's like, dude,
It's the
you were a
Jets.
Jets fan. I don't blame you at all. Get out of
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like you're still young enough to save yourself. Don't do it.
yeah. Jets fans leaving at any age, I think, is acceptable.
It's always that interstellar meme for Jets fans where they're like
Yeah.
yelling at their pass up.
No!
It's like, no, not.
But
Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
choose my NFL team, man. I was born into it.
yeah, same here. And
The
I
rest of
know,
them, I think I did get to choose because like I can get my dad in and my grandparents and some uncles and stuff are in the NFL. But everything else, I'm pretty much on my own on. Like they're not watching the NBA. They're definitely not watching hockey. I try to get as many people in the hockey as possible. You should watch it.
yeah, at
So
some point, dude,
so
I'm
I
telling you,
picked
at
on my
some
own for
point,
the rest.
yeah, playoff hockey I need to watch because playoff hockey just looks unbelievably entertaining. But
So it's so great.
yeah, but if I were
Olympic,
gonna be a
watch the Olympics this year. That'll be. You should have watched the Four Nations, but watch the Olympics. That'll be good.
yeah, like if I were a team of or a fan of any team, I guess it'd be the Kraken because my brother likes the Kraken. So are they doing okay? I have no idea.
Uh, I'll check the stand. They're like notoriously mid.
Oh
Like
well,
I
it's
won't
better
lie
than
to you, they're
being
probably
terrible,
not the
I
most
guess.
fun team. Like they don't put up a bunch of. They're not electric offensively, but
Oh well, oh well.
they are. They're third in their division, so they're starting decent.
That's all right
16
then.
12 games, so not bad, not bad at all.
That's
Not
good.
a playoff team at the moment, just because of how good the rest of the West is right now, but they could turn it around.
Yeah, well, hopefully so. It's not like there's like an Indiana team or anything, so I'm not like super invested.
Yeah, I just
But
went. I kind of defaulted to just picking all the Pittsburgh teams. I'm just a Pittsburgh. I'm a Steelers, Penguins, Pirates guy.
yeah, that makes sense.
Don't be a Pirates fan. That's a mistake. Don't do that.
I
Seriously,
I'm aware of that. I
it's
won't
the
do
worst
that.
thing I've ever done. Luckily, I don't. I'm not super deep into the MLB, so I'm not like dying every time they lose. I've just expected it now, but it does suck knowing that the one team I actually care a little bit about, I'll never get to watch in the playoffs. So it's
Yeah,
not,
genuinely. Yeah. I mean, if I had to
baseball's
pick
so broken.
yeah, if I had to pick an MLB team, again, it would probably just be, what a family member likes. My dad's from Cincinnati, so it'd probably be the Reds, and that's not a great
Or
one to
yeah,
get
at
to
least
either.
I guess they made it finally, but
They
they're a pretty
did.
tough watch too.
Yeah, and I remember they backdoored in this year by losing, and then the Mets lost. So my dad was like, "Hey, they made it kind of," and then they
Their
got
owner is
destroyed
a
by the
douche
Dodgers.
too. I
So
remember that.
yeah,
The
I
owner
did.
had some quote effectively along the lines of, "You're gonna come watch us anyway, so
Oh
who
my
cares if we're
God, I
bad?"
hate that.
Basically, hey, you
That's
want
a
to
liter
leave?
that that's literally like I feel like what the Bengals owner does, except he's like, I don't even care. He doesn't even care at all, like whether
At
people go
least,
or to watch
at
or not.
least even the cheap teams in the NFL spend close to the rest. That's my problem. The MLB is so broken with the
Yeah,
cheap players. It's like the Pirates' payroll is less than like what Shohei makes on his own. Like it's
yeah,
so the gap
that's what
is
I've heard.
untenable.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
there needs to be like a salary minimum and a salary cap, like for the
Yeah,
MLB.
salary floor is super important. There might be a full-on league lockout in 2027 just to get it pushed through. I think they're willing to fight for it, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's good. I
I get
mean,
why the players wouldn't want it because it would suck to have your capped, but for the
yeah,
good of the league long term, it's necessary because
yeah,
you're just
just
gonna lose people more and more. Like in the NFL, even fans of bad teams think they can win. And it's
right.
true, eventually they can. We've seen teams turn it
The
around.
Colts.
It's just like, yeah, the Lions forever were a joke and
Yeah,
they're good again. It's like, even the Browns have had playoff seasons. Like it's Jacksonville made
yeah,
an AFC championship game with Blake Bortles. Like it's
yeah.
never,
The boat.
you don't get that in the MLB currently.
Yeah, it's like that's why I mean I like NFL the most is because it's like it's the only league where a story like that can happen. Like I'm sure there have been stories all time that are like, hey, back in like 1950, this team did this, but like it feels like that happens every year in the NFL. There's at least one or two teams that come out of nowhere and surprise and
I think
make
that
it
was a
like
thing for a while where like every year at least one team goes from worst to first in their division.
yeah, and I think last year broke that streak, but now if the Patriots win, they can get that streak going again. That's
Yeah.
one, and I don't know about any others. Who got? I guess the Niners technically would be if they won the division,
Oh,
but the Niners are kind of an exception because of how injured they were last year.
yeah.
And then Indy wasn't last, but they were. they were second in the worst division in the league, so that doesn't really
Yeah.
say much. But yeah, like I just like stories like that. Like Washington last year, obviously it does not worked out this year, but like Colts
No.
this year, Patriots kind of this year. Even though I don't like the Patriots, just as an example of like a team
Yeah.
that turned it around. I do like Drake May a lot. I think he's very good, and I do like Vrabel, but I just can't ever like
It's
the Patriots. It doesn't matter. There's elements I can like, and I can cope if they win. Like at least I like this thing about them, but
yeah.
not overall.
At least the guy who was, stealing signs and stuff is gone. It makes him a little more palatable, but
Yeah, that's true. God, but
no more Spygate for
yeah, no
those
more
boys.
Spygate. At least there hasn't been like I mean, as bad as the Patriots stuff was, at least there hasn't been something like the Houston Astros, like
That
the banging on trash cans scandal. Like, oh my
was
God.
interesting.
So that's the NFL midseason review slash trade deadline review slash we talked about the MLB a little bit at the end and the NHL.
Everything.
So, but yeah, Preston, thanks for joining and
Thanks for having me.